Why does that weight of anxiety pressing on your chest feel like more than just fear or uncertainty? Why, amidst the relentless chaos of modern life, does an emptiness linger, untouched by distractions like work, social media, or even your proudest achievements? The answer isn't found in quick fixes like pills or breathing exercises, but in a deeper, more unsettling truth. Carl Jung, the explorer who ventured into the uncharted depths of the human psyche, saw anxiety not as a flaw to be medicated, but as a cry from your soul, a desperate call to awaken to your true journey. Individuation, the path to becoming whole. Today, we embark on an odyssey through Jung's lens to reframe your anxiety as a signal, not a sickness. We'll unravel why it emerges as a messenger of your soul's unrest and forge a path to transform its discomfort into a beacon for self-mastery. This is no promise of easy relief. It's a map to hear your soul's voice and carve out a life of deeper meaning. Prepare yourself. Jung's wisdom demands courage to face the abyss within. The first truth is that your anxiety is not a weakness, but the cry of a soul you've ignored. Jung, in Psychology and Alchemy, taught that anxiety is a signal from the unconscious, a warning that you're drifting from your greater purpose, individuation, the integration of all your fragmented parts. Modern psychology, like Rollo May's work on existential anxiety, echoes this, showing that discomfort surges when you sidestep life's fundamental questions about meaning and identity. Neuroscience, through Joseph Ledoux's research, reveals that anxiety activates the amygdala's alarm system, but also engages the prefrontal cortex, inviting introspection, not just panic. In ancient Athens, Socrates felt this as a constant restlessness. His daemon, an inner guide he embraced rather than fled, sparking questions that birthed Western philosophy. His anxiety wasn't a flaw, it was the engine of his mission. Today, you feel this in soul-crushing jobs that don't reflect who you are, or when scrolling endless social media feeds leaves you hollow, your soul craving something beyond likes or validation. To answer this call, ask what void or desire your anxiety reveals. Note when it strikes to uncover patterns, and embrace its discomfort as a guide, not an enemy. But anxiety doesn't just point to neglect. It's the voice of your shadow, those hidden parts of yourself you've buried, like anger, ambition, or vulnerability, demanding to be seen. Jung taught that ignoring the shadow creates a fractured self, with anxiety as the symptom of that split. Robert A. Johnson's work in analytical psychology shows that embracing the shadow dissolves inner conflict, while Lisa Feldman Barrett's neuroscience research warns that suppressed emotions amplify stress, manifesting as anxiety. In Greek mythology, Perseus faced Medusa, a symbol of his shadow, his anxiety before the battle forcing him inward. By using a mirror to confront her without being petrified, he turned fear into freedom. At work, anxiety before a big presentation might signal a repressed fear of failure or a hunger for recognition. On social media, the sting of comparing your life to others' curated posts may point to buried envies or ambitions. Name these hidden traits in a journal, express them safely through writing or art, and channel their energy into creative or bold actions that make you whole. Your anxiety also warns that you're living a life shaped by others, not by you. Jung saw conformity to the collective unconscious, society's norms, as a betrayal of individuation, sparking anxiety when your soul resists. Solomon Asch's social psychology studies show that yielding to others' expectations breeds stress, while Antonio Damasio's neuroscience work reveals that dissonance between your actions and inner values triggers anxiety's alarm. In the 19th century, Frida Kahlo faced crushing anxiety under pressure to be a traditional wife. but she channeled that unrest into her art, defying norms to create a legacy that screamed her soul's truth. Today, anxiety flares when you chase safe careers that clash with your values, or when social media's demand for a perfect, polished life forces you to silence your authenticity. List the societal pressures you follow blindly. Experiment with actions that honor your true values, even if they're unpopular. And choose relationships or projects that reflect your essence, not the world's script. Anxiety is also an invitation to transformation, a call to shed old patterns and embrace change. In Symbols of Transformation, Jung saw anxiety as a spark for psychic renewal, a view echoed by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's work on flow, which shows growth comes from facing challenges, not fleeing them. Norman Doidge's research on neuroplasticity confirms that anxiety, when channeled, forges new brain connections, rewiring you for growth. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris is torn apart, his chaos and anxiety symbolizing the death of an old self. Guided by Isis, he rises as the god of the underworld, transformed through discomfort. In your life, anxiety before a career change or a tough breakup signals the need to let go of what no longer serves you. On social media, restlessness with your online presence might push you to reinvent your voice. See anxiety as a signal of needed change. Take small steps like trying a new hobby or having a hard conversation, and embrace uncertainty as the crucible of growth. You now see your anxiety not as an enemy, but as a messenger, a cry from an ignored soul, a voice of your repressed shadow, a warning against conformity, and an invitation to transform. But recognizing this call is only the beginning. Now we step into Jung's transformative territory, where you answer this cry with courage, turning anxiety into a path to self-mastery, a journey that demands introspection and the will to forge your own existence. The first step is to listen to your anxiety with intention, treating it as a compass, not a curse. Jung saw anxiety as a dialogue with the unconscious, a view Carl Rogers' active listening techniques support, helping you decode its messages. Richard Davidson's neuroscience research shows that focusing on emotions calms the amygdala, turning anxiety into clarity. Jung himself lived this after his split with Freud, grappling with intense anxiety that he channeled into his Red Book, dialoguing with inner visions to birth insights that defined his legacy. At work, anxiety over a project can reveal what truly matters: passion, impact, or purpose. On social media, the unease of posting might signal a deeper desire for authenticity or connection. Spend 5 minutes meditating on what your anxiety points to. Ask what your soul wants you to see, and take one action aligned with that insight, no matter how small. Next, face your shadow to transform anxiety into creative strength. Jung taught that accepting repressed traits, anger, desire, fear, reduces the inner conflict fueling anxiety. Marie-Louise von Franz's Jungian work shows the shadow holds vital energy when embraced, while Daniel Siegel's neuroscience research suggests integrating conflicting emotions strengthens brain coherence. In Norse mythology, Odin sacrifices an eye for wisdom, confronting his shadow, fear of loss, to unlock greater power. His anxiety drove a transformative act of courage. At work, acknowledging a buried ambition, like wanting to lead, can turn anxiety into drive. On social media, admitting envies or frustrations can inspire more authentic content. Write down the traits you hide, express them safely in therapy or art, and channel their energy into actions that make you bold and whole. You must also break free from conformity to liberate your soul. Jung saw individuation as a rebellion against the collective unconscious, a view Irvin Yalom's existential psychology supports. showing that aligning actions with personal values eases anxiety. Jaak Panksepp's neuroscience research suggests pursuing authenticity activates brain reward circuits, calming unrest. In the 20th century, Virginia Woolf faced crippling anxiety under pressure to be a proper woman. But she defied those norms, pouring her restlessness into Mrs. Dalloway and creating revolutionary art. In your life, leaving a job that stifles your passion, even against family pressure, can dissolve anxiety. On social media, posting content that reflects your truth, not trends, fosters genuine connection. List what truly matters to you beyond others' expectations. Take one authentic action, like exploring a new career, and distance yourself from people or content that demand conformity. Finally, channel your anxiety into a greater purpose, aligning your soul with the world. Jung saw individuation as crafting a unique purpose from inner chaos, a view Martin Seligman's positive psychology supports, showing that purpose gives direction and reduces anxiety. Andrew Huberman's neuroscience research confirms that goal-oriented actions quiet the amygdala's alarm. Nelson Mandela lived this in the 20th century, transforming his prison anxiety into a purpose. The fight for equality, his introspection forging clarity that united a fractured nation. At work, use anxiety about lack of impact to create projects with meaning. On social media, turn restlessness into content that inspires or educates, aligned with your vision. Write a personal mission that resonates with your soul. Dedicate daily time to actions that reflect it, and reflect on how those actions shape you and others. You now hold Jung's map to transform anxiety into a call from your soul. It's the cry of an ignored soul, as Socrates heard in his daimon, the voice of a repressed shadow, as Perseus faced in Medusa, a warning against conformity, as Frida Kahlo defied in her art, and an invitation to transformation, as Osiris rose with Isis. Through Jung's tactics, you can listen with intention, as he did in his Red Book. Integrate your shadow, like Odin's sacrifice. Challenge conformity, like Wolf's rebellion. And channel anxiety into purpose, like Mandela's struggle. These 8 principles form a system, a diagnosis of anxiety's message and a path to answer it with courage. But a solemn warning: this knowledge is a flame, capable of lighting your path or burning if misused. Use it to hear your soul, forge meaning, and live fully. True individuation turns anxiety into a beacon for your journey. In the comments, share which of these principles feels hardest to embrace and why. If this odyssey of self-discovery speaks to you, subscribe to keep exploring the mysteries of the psyche. And if this wisdom resonates, you're like signals that it must reach more souls.